Everyone wants the soft life, but sometimes what we call the soft life is really just us running from the hard conversations that we don't want to have. And right now, I could use a soft life because these here things, technology have been wearing me out, y'all. I have to have a moment to decompress real quick, okay? So for those of y'all have been asking me for this video podcast, right? And I kept saying it's so much to try to get things done, cameras, lighting, all the things. So we got the lighting, we got the cameras, everything here. And it just without fail, something has to go wrong when you are trying to record. The mic cuts off while you're recording. 20 minutes in, you realize the mic is not connected. You realize that the camera stand is lowering itself. And it's just been so funny doing this particular soft life episode. So I was like, well, let me interject a little wisdom, I mean a little bit of humor in here because it is so funny. I've been trying to figure out, I was like, I know that this was set so that the angle would be perfect because certain angles I just don't look good. You know, we all have angles, but there are certain angles I just do not look good. And I'm like, how does the camera keep getting there? And then I just realized it, so I have to get something new. So I need the soft life because I'm trying to avoid these problems that I'm having right now. But I have a temporary situation right now, so we will work through this in real time. Those of y'all that are listening elsewhere, listen, y'all gonna have to endure my complaining for a second. And I'm really not complaining, I'm voicing, but I just want y'all to know how much love I really have for y'all and how I'm really trying to make this thing work. Lights, camera, mic, all the things. Listen, this is the Michael experience, okay? And these are my thoughts, my life, my way. All right. So, the rise of the soft life culture has infiltrated our social being for probably the last 5 years, I would say, because I hadn't heard of soft life too much before that. And even more so now, I hear, oh, hard wig, soft life. And they refer to some of our celebrity favorites when they talk about that. Now, here's my thing. I don't know much of soft life culture because I don't I'm assuming well I'm not assuming but don't believe that I've had that soft life culture because when I see people talk about it and I see it being depicted, most people are describing like this euphoric idea situation where things tend to just fall out of the sky. They just happen for them and they just go about their life without a care in the world. That is what I see commonly spoken and commonly depicted out in the social sphere. But let's talk about it, right? Is softness healthy or is this soft life thing healthy or is it escapism? Because I know all too well people who want to find any way not to be accountable, not to be responsible, and not have to do anything with themselves. And any little thing that requires an exertment of energy is just too much. It's giving, I don't want to do it. It's giving, I'm tired. It's giving, I just want to be taken care of. So, when is it the softness that is healthy softness versus escapism? Because I think there's also a community or group of people who are trying to outrun a past that wasn't ideal. Some people are trying to run from a childhood that maybe wasn't so savory. They're trying to outrun a history of bad relationships, trying to outrun that inadequacy that you feel from not having any real skills or accomplishments. What is it? What is it truly? I believe that softness can be healthy. I believe softness can be healthy. I think softness in its very pure form is nothing other than us tapping into those things that make us feel and that make us feel deeply, right? The things that allow us to nurture ourselves and to nourish ourselves. That's what I think of when I think of softness. And I don't think there's anything or there's any affiliation to gender. I think we all have softness. We deserve softness. We talked about that in another episode. Softness just allows people into those very deep parts of our hearts and in our minds where we feel like we have to protect it from the world. Softness allows us to maneuver through that. Softness is like that first door before you get into the gateways of things. That softness kind of makes it tender so that you can get through, if you understand what I'm saying. But the other side of that is it can be escapism. I've seen far too many times where people will jump into what seems like an ideal relationship or situationship to avoid a hardship, right? Homelessness. Again, maybe they don't have the capacity to learn and go to higher education. Maybe they can't get an advanced degree. Maybe they feel like they don't have a real skill. Sometimes I do believe it's escapism, and I believe it manifests itself in those ways. I do. And I often think that avoidance is disguised as self care. If I don't have to do any work, that's self care. If I don't have to think for myself, that's self care. If I don't have to lift a finger, that is self care. Now, there's somebody out there like Mike, all of the things that you are describing sound really good to me, sound really good to me. But let me tell you this, as a person who's been offered, right, by multiple men to stay home, right? Oh, you'll be very well taken care of. I'll buy you the things or whatever. All you got to do is feed me, fuck me, and take care of the house. And I'm like, I don't know that I'm cut out for that. I don't know that I'm cut out for that. You just want me to fuck you, feed you, and take care of the house. I'm like, that don't sound like nothing I want to be a part of. It really doesn't. That don't sound like nothing I want to be a part of. And it doesn't sound like anything I want to be a part of because then who would I be? Who would I be if I allowed people to just dictate everything about my life? Right? If I allow people to dictate where I go, what I do, how much money I can spend, right? I don't want to do that. I want to make something for myself. I want to make a name for myself. And I do believe that there is a quotient of people that get into relationships that are like that, where resources are available. But I'm not challenging it when it is healthy because some people get in those relationships and yes, maybe they have had a tough past and a hard history. Yes, they may have, and they get into this situation and begin rebuilding and reinventing. And there's nothing wrong with that. You get into that relationship and then you start making your dreams come true, and that person starts helping to make your dreams come true. That's love. That's love. That's the receiving end of love, and it's the giving end of love. It's the reciprocity of it. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? I love when I see these couples and one person makes sure that the other person gets what they need. They get the education so that they can go do the thing. And then that other person reciprocates in another way, buying property and investments and all of these things. I love when that happens. That's good synergy. That's healthy softness, soft lifeness. Those are the healthy bits of it. But if you're doing it as a means of survival, it is avoidance. It is avoidance, and you are just running from the hard conversations that you have to have with yourself. There are conversations that each and every one of us must have in the mirror. I'm not exempt. You're not exempt. Nobody around you is exempt. We must have these tough conversations in the mirror. Now, if you need some help with that, make sure you go over to michaelexperience.com and get One Day at a Time, where I talk about this in the book. It's also available at Amazon, One Day at a Time. But you have to begin unpacking some of these things so that you can realize, where do you fit in the category? Where do you fit in the category? Because again, I myself couldn't fathom sitting at home waiting on somebody and not doing anything with my time. However, I could be with somebody who says, "Listen, I'm not trying to control you. I just want your dreams to come true. You want to own a 20 unit apartment building, and I want to give it to you. That way you can go and manage it and do all the things." And I take that and we continue, well, not just I, but we take that and we continue to build with one another. That is the kind of synergy and energy that I want to bring into a situation. Getting into relationships out of survival really is just running. It's running. It's running from those conversations. And at some point, they're going to catch up with you because your identity is something that you cannot avoid. The person who you are meant to be, the person who you are meant to become and grow into, you cannot avoid that person. You can't. You can try. You can try to put it off. You can ignore certain things. But whatever that is, that calling that is for you, that yearning is for you, you're going to have to face it. And you should probably do so before you run into this soft life ideology. Okay? Again, there are healthy sides of this. There are very healthy sides of it. But then there's just like anything the other side. So I want to talk about the difference between rest and retreat, right? Because even me, I've had issues with resting. What is resting? What is resting? Right? And what is retreating? Resting is the active process of restoring, restoring balance, restoring energy, restoring all of the things that you have exerted, right? That is resting. Retreating is running. Retreating is running, right? Now, do you exert energy when you retreat? Absolutely, but much less than if you were willing to put in the energy and the work to do the thing that's important, which is the real critical internal work, but also that leads to your external fulfillment when you're doing things. Resting is the active process of refilling, re energizing, re synergizing, re synthesizing. That is what rest is. Rest is after you've completed all of your work and you say, I need a reprieve until I restart, right? That is rest. Retreating is running. Retreating is oh no, this battle is too much. I'm going the opposite way. Oh, wait a minute, that looks like a big mountain to climb. Oop, nope, I'm going that way. Right? Retreating is avoidance. Retreating is a form of failure, and it is a mental defeat. I'm going to tell you now, healing from this requires both softness and accountability. And like I said before, there is nothing wrong with softness. Softness is great. Softness unlocks the innermost sacred parts of your heart, the ones that you guard, because if you gave them to the wrong person or the institution, they might do something wrong with it. Softness is that thing that allows the door to be open so that you can go in and get the tender bits. Like I said, it's kind of like the screen door you got to go through first before you can get in the house. There's nothing wrong with softness, and it is not gender specific. It is not gender specific, neither is accountability. Self accountability first. I believe you can't give anybody anything that you have not given yourself. So you have to give yourself the gift of love. You have to give yourself the gift of courage. You have to give yourself the gift of responsibility. You have to give yourself the gift of a soft life. Okay? Give yourself the things that you are requesting and requiring of somebody else, because that is the true essence of fulfillment, self value, self worth, self investment, self. That is real. That is the real self care. And again, it can be great if you get in the right situation. I'm not saying that a soft life is bad for anybody, but if you are avoiding it, like a house of cards, one huff, one puff, and the whole house of cards will come down on you. You have to be accountable to yourself. And you have to be accountable to the things that make you you, or also that don't make you you. We all have strengths, we all have abilities, we all have gifts. It is the onus and the accountability and the responsibility for each one of us to sift through, to figure it out what it is, sift through it, fine tune it, and figure out how it is working, how it's supposed to work for the betterment of our lives and the betterment of the lives of other people around us. Softness and accountability of self. And then when you have that level of accountability, then you can go out in the world and demand it of others and require it of others and give assign to others accountability, but not until you get right in here. Not until you get right in here. I want to talk about building a soft life that isn't built on denial. Because like I said before, I believe that there is something to this soft life. And I don't believe it's always something that you're running to. It's oftentimes something that you build. You can build a soft life. If you set your foundation up, we talked about accountability, right? We talked about the rest after the work. If you build your foundation up and it is sturdy, you can rest on that, right? You can rest on it. You can rest on it. This is sturdy. It's not feeble. It's not fractured. This is a sturdy foundation, and you can continue to build things on it. And once you get enough pieces and enough rooms built upon that foundation, everything in your orbit will become stronger. Everything will become stronger. Every room that you built and designed with you in mind will make your life easier. It'll make your mental space lighter. It will make your heart less heavy. It'll unlock that screen door. That softness will begin to take over it and grow. There's something really good about doing it that way, right? And it's not about somebody else. Now, somebody else can come and add to it. Somebody else can add to it. But you have laid the foundation and the basis for it, and you have done the work. You have been accountable to the work and to yourself. You set the foundation for a soft life. You can't get that running to somebody else. You can't. And when you don't know who you are, a hard head makes a soft behind. Okay? And I would venture to say the same thing for a life. Okay? A hard head makes for a hard life, you know. But you gotta work through these things and build the foundations and do the things that you can do. You cannot, you cannot choose ease without abandoning responsibility. You can't. You can't choose ease without abandoning responsibility because the work doesn't get done. When you choose the easy thing, you circumvent those very real character building moments, that real muscle for life, that real know-how, right? You miss all those critical learning points along the way, those life lessons that I like to call them. In my book, One Day at a Time, you can listen to some of the lessons that I've had. But that is accountability, that is doing the work. But again, you cannot choose ease without abandoning responsibility. You can't. The easier it is, the less accountable you are to it, unless you build that foundation up. Unless you build that foundation up. So I want you to sit with this question. Where are you calling something a soft life when it is really avoidance? Where is it? Is it showing up in your marriage right now? Are you in your marriage and things are just handed to you and you still don't feel fulfilled? Are you in a relationship right now that doesn't feel like your relationship? Are you living a life right now that you feel like doesn't really resonate with you? You said you wanted it, you got it, but it doesn't feel like it is connecting you and your spirit. What are you calling a soft life right now when it's truly avoidance? And then, even more, dig into that avoidance. Why don't I want to go through it? Why don't I want to deal with it? And sit with that. I want to leave you with a thought, right? Softness is powerful, but only when it's honest. A truly soft life isn't about avoiding discomfort, it is about choosing peace without running from growth.